Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. So let me share with you one of the reasons why I see there's likely to be a big move and a big boom coming soon. And that is, let me just share this graph with you here, is I find that, that when we look at these markets, all right, we have two main things that what's the word for it? Two main things that are controlling these markets, right? These overall markets. It's the printing of money and the interest rates. And obviously, what's happening with the Fed right now is they're keeping a very, very, very big close eye on the GDP and also unemployment numbers. So let me actually just bring this chart up here for a minute. So if I bring this chart up here, all right. So what we're looking at here right now is the real GDP, and I recently come across this from one of my property mentors. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. And you can see here that by looking at this is obviously from the Q4 2019 into 2021 basically. And you can see, look at this here. You can see how United Kingdom, Italy, Eurozone, Germany, France, Mexico, Japan, Canada, even United States, Brazil, South Korea, and us here in Australia, we've just slightly gone back into positive real GDP. India, very, very nice. And China, boom, right? If China had like one and then China's off. No wonder China is taking on America right now. So looking at this here right now, this is the real GDP. So this is where, like, even though asset prices like stocks and property markets going nuts, that the government is looking at, or the Fed's looking at two different numbers here, the real GDP, and then also looking at the unemployment numbers. And they are not there to where they're liking. So guess what? There is no sight of easy money ending anytime soon. So what do you think that means? Even though stock markets are all-time new highs and things are going crazy and Nasdaq all-time new highs, Dow Jones about to make an all-time new high as well too. S&P new highs. Things are going crazy. We're supposedly in a bubble, right? Guess what's happening? They're not likely to stop anytime soon. And so what's likely to happen with what we're seeing here is the government's likely to continue to put easy money into the system to keep it afloat. Hence one of the reasons why I see we are in the middle of one of the greatest booms we have ever seen in history. And those who are just looking at this from a mechanistic point of view, low interest rates, government continue to support this with printing of money. And we know they're going to continue to print more money. It's just what they do, right? It's just no insight. Plus also zero interest rates, printing of money, and then also we have a lot of savers that have saved their money, and that's eventually going to start to dwindle down and start to go back into the system and start to pump up profits in companies and also the stock market. And so we are, once again, guys, we are in the middle of one of the greatest booms we have ever seen, and there's no stopping it. And now what's likely to happen is that we are likely to see this graph here tells us that there's a lot more printing of money and interest rates are likely to stay low for quite some time, especially for at least from now through to the end of the year. That's why that's why I see at least a 20% up move as of doing this recording right now, a 20% up move looking at S&P 500 and the Nasdaq by the end of this year. It's just a tremendous up move coming. And those who are educated are going to make so much money by the end of this year. We're talking like so much money is like going to be made, guys, by the end of this year, just by jumping on this, what we call mechanistic, 0% interest rates, keeping a floor under these markets, printing of money, booing the markets. And the government right now, all they're focused on is real GDP. They're obviously focused on that, but they're also talking about they're also talking about the unemployment numbers. So this is the one graph, this is the one chart that says that that the government is not going to stop doing their printing of money, and we are just going to keep going and going and going until we actually until it now becomes too much. Things just bubbles start to increase all over the place, and then you'll start to see the very first sign of things starting to slow down will be they'll start to tighten. What does that mean? They start to increase interest rates. That's the very first sign you want to watch out for. Now, if they raise interest rates slightly, like quarter base point, we're roughly 1 year from the top if they do that. If you study Ray Dalio stuff, you see this through history, right? They even through 1929 and even in the tech bubble, guess what? They're raising rates 12 months prior to the top. So if they start to raise interest rates quarter base point, now when they do, we're roughly 12 months from the top. Now if they just, oh my goodness, inflation's gone crazy, they're going to slam it on, they start to raise interest rates real big, then that's when they can put a real big heavy stop in the markets real fast. See, but from now to then, guess what? We haven't even started raising rates yet. So, and with everything that's happening right now, we're not likely to raise rates for at least another 6 months. That's why I have such high-end targets for the rest of this year. And this one graph says massive stimulus still coming and massive boom in the actual markets itself.